For 7 years, my daughter-in-law had the same excuse every time the bill arrived. Oops, I forgot my card again. At first, I believed her. Then, I tolerated her. Eventually, I simply expected it. But everything changed one Saturday afternoon when she pushed not one bill across the table, but two. One belonged to her. The other belonged to her mother. She leaned back in her chair with a smug smile, completely confident that I would do what I had always done, pay. Instead, I looked directly at her and calmly said 6 words. Funny? I forgot mine too today. The smile disappeared from her face instantly, and what happened next changed our family forever. My name is Evelyn Parker, and for most of my life, I believe family should always come first. I grew up in a hard-working household where helping loved ones was considered a responsibility, not a choice. My parents taught me that when you have enough, you share. When someone struggles, you help. Those values stayed with me throughout my entire life. My husband, Michael, and I spent nearly 40 years building a comfortable future together. We worked long hours, saved carefully, avoided debt, and planned for retirement. We were not wealthy, but we were secure. Then 8 years ago, Michael passed away unexpectedly. Losing him shattered my world. For months, I felt lost. The house felt empty. Every room reminded me of him. The only thing that kept me moving forward was my son, Ryan. Ryan was my only child. I loved him more than anything, and seeing him happy gave me a reason to keep going. Around that time, Ryan had recently married a woman named Madison. At first, I genuinely liked her. She was charming, outgoing, and always knew exactly what to say. She complimented my cooking, called me regularly, and often told people how lucky she felt to have me as a mother-in-law. Looking back now, I realized she was also very skilled at getting people to give her what she wanted. The first sign of trouble appeared just a few months after their wedding. We were having dinner at a nice restaurant when the waiter brought the check. Madison searched through her purse, laughed, and said she had forgotten her card. I smiled and paid without thinking much about it. Everyone forgets things occasionally. At least that was what I told myself. Then it happened again. And again and again. Soon, every family dinner ended the same way. The waiter arrived with the check. Madison suddenly remembered she had forgotten her card. Ryan would shrug, and I would pay. At first, I believed these were honest mistakes.
But after the 10th time, I started noticing something strange. Madison never forgot her phone. She never forgot her makeup. She never forgot the expensive designer handbags she carried everywhere. Yet somehow, she always forgot the one thing needed when it was time to pay. As the years passed, the situation became worse. Family dinners turned into expensive outings. Birthday celebrations became luxury events. Weekend trips somehow ended with me covering hotel rooms and meals. Madison loved expensive things. She ordered the most expensive item on every menu. She shopped without looking at price tags. She upgraded everything. And because I rarely complained, she assumed I would always be there to cover the cost. What hurt most was not the money. It was the expectation. Nobody asked anymore. Nobody thanked me. They simply assumed I would pay. The final straw arrived when Madison began bringing her mother, Karen, to nearly every outing. Karen was remarkably similar to her daughter. She loved luxury. She loved shopping. And she seemed equally comfortable allowing someone else to pay for it. Whenever Karen joined us, the bills became even larger. Yet somehow, her wallet always seemed just as forgetful as Madison's. One rainy afternoon, I sat at my kitchen table reviewing bank statements. At first, I was simply organizing paperwork. Then curiosity got the better of me. I decided to calculate how much money I'd spent helping Ryan and Madison over the years. The answer shocked me. When I finished adding everything together, the total exceeded $70,000. $70,000. I stared at the number for several minutes. That money could have funded years of travel. It could have renovated my home. It could have been used for charities I cared about. Instead, it had disappeared into expensive dinners, shopping trips, vacations, and luxury purchases for people who seemed completely ungrateful. For the first time, I felt something I had been avoiding for years: resentment. A few weeks later, Madison called and invited me to spend the day shopping at an upscale mall. She claimed she wanted some quality time together. Part of me wanted to decline. Another part wanted to see if anything had changed. So I agreed. The day started exactly as I expected. Madison visited store after store, filling shopping bags with clothing, jewelry, and cosmetics. She barely looked at the prices. Karen joined us halfway through the afternoon and immediately started shopping as well. By evening, both women were carrying several expensive bags. Then Madison suggested dinner. We ended up at one of the most expensive restaurants in the mall. The meal was extravagant: steaks, seafood, desserts, wine. Everything about the evening felt excessive. As we ate, I noticed Madison and Karen laughing together. Neither seemed remotely concerned about how much money they had spent that day. Something inside me finally snapped. Not in anger, not in frustration, just clarity. For years, I had allowed this behavior. For years, I had taught them that my generosity had no limits. And unless I changed something, nothing would ever change. When the waiter finally brought the check, my heart began beating faster. I already knew what was coming. Madison glanced at the bill for less than a second. Then she pushed it toward me. Karen pushed hers forward as well. Madison smiled confidently. "Oops, I forgot my card again." Karen laughed. The waiter stood beside the table waiting. Ryan looked completely relaxed. Everyone expected the same outcome they had received for 7 years. Instead, I folded my hands calmly. I looked directly at Madison. Then I smiled. "Funny, I forgot mine too today." The silence was immediate. Madison's smile vanished. Karen blinked in confusion. Ryan looked like someone had poured ice water over his head. For a moment, nobody spoke. Madison laughed nervously. "Okay, seriously." I simply smiled. Ryan finally reached into his pocket. To everyone's surprise, including mine, he actually had his wallet. Apparently, he had remembered it after all. The waiter continued waiting. Madison looked embarrassed. Karen looked irritated. Ryan looked trapped. For the first time in 7 years, nobody could rely on me to rescue them. Eventually, Ryan paid the bill. The drive home was awkward. The following weeks were even worse. Madison complained constantly. She told Ryan I had embarrassed her. Karen claimed I had humiliated the family. Ryan initially tried convincing me that I had overreacted. But something surprising happened. For the first time, I refused to apologize. I calmly reminded him that nobody seemed concerned about embarrassing me every time they expected me to pay. Nobody seemed concerned about taking advantage of my generosity. Nobody seemed concerned about treating me like a personal ATM. The conversation ended quickly. For several months, family gatherings became rare. Then one evening, Ryan called unexpectedly. His voice sounded different, tired, reflective, older. He asked if we could meet alone. When we sat down together, he surprised me. He apologized, not just for that dinner, for everything. He admitted he had allowed the situation to continue because confronting Madison was easier than standing up for me. He admitted he had taken my generosity for granted. Most importantly, he admitted he should have protected me instead of expecting me to carry everyone else's responsibilities. Hearing those words brought tears to my eyes, not because of the money, because my son finally understood. Today, our relationship is stronger than it has been in years. Madison eventually learned that boundaries are real. Karen stopped expecting invitations to every outing. And I learned one of the most important lessons of my life. Kindness is a gift. It should never become an obligation. The people who truly love you appreciate your generosity. The people who take advantage of you expect it. Sometimes all it takes is 6 simple words to reveal the difference. Funny, I forgot mine too today. And honestly, those 6 words were worth far more than $70,000. If you were in Evelyn's place, what would you have done? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more shocking family drama stories.